Hey Dragon Slayers, today's video is about my experiments with fasting from Jimmy Moore. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. Let's get started. You will hear all about the therapeutic uses of fasting and how to implement them in your own life in order to experience its amazing health benefits. But you might be wondering what the experience of fasting actually looks like. Perhaps particularly for someone who was extremely skeptical about fasting until he tried it for himself. That's precisely what Jimmy will be sharing with you in this next portion. His name is Jimmy Moore, and he's the internationally best-selling author of the Ketogenic Cookbook, Keto Clarity and Cholesterol Clarity, as well as most of the longest running as well as the host of the longest running health podcast, the Livin La Vida Low-Carb show by Jimmy Moore. When Jimmy discovered Dr. Jason Fung's incredible work on fasting, Jimmy knew that he needed to collaborate and get comprehensive information about fasting into the hands of as many people as possible. But Jimmy wasn't always such an exuberant fan of fasting. He thought to himself, this has got to be a joke, right? When Jimmy first heard about fasting as a part of improving your overall health about a decade before the writing of this book, it might as well have been prescribed as another F word. Why in the world would you purposely starve yourself, Jimmy thought. How could anyone possibly think that deliberately being hungry would ever be a good thing? This has to be a joke, right? Believe Jimmy, he knows that many of you reading his book or reading the book have had some of the exact same thoughts. And back in 2006, Jimmy didn't fully comprehend the positive benefits fasting would someday provide him, including its amazing effects on his cholesterol and blood sugar. Jimmy first heard about the concept of intermittent fasting from Dr. Michael Eades, author of the best-selling book Protein Power. In 2006, Dr. Eades began writing about the great success of weight loss and other health benefits he had seen with something called intermittent fasting, or IF. It was an idea at the time to go periods of time without eating anything at all on a regular basis, and the way he described it seemed relatively doable. You stop eating at 6 p.m., and then you don't eat again until 6 p.m. the next day. So you still got to eat every single day, but the strategy forced your body to go without food for 24 hours a day, or 24 hours at a time. Jimmy had to admit he had never gone that long without eating in his entire life, and he was extremely skeptical about the whole idea of fasting, even on an intermittent basis. Why? Because Jimmy liked to eat, as evidenced by the fact that he once weighed in at a whopping 410 pounds. Of course, at that weight, Jimmy was consuming lots of processed junk food and sugary sodas like there was no tomorrow. Growing up in college, when he got married in his 20s and into his 30s, he had terrible eating habits that contributed to some pretty significant metabolic damage. Thankfully, in 2004, he came across information about the low-carb diet, which enabled him to lose 180 pounds in 1 year and come off 3 prescribed medications for high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and breathing problems. Jimmy had to share the incredible health success he'd found on that diet with other people. And he went on to grow a huge platform called the Livin La Vida Low-Carb, which he used to educate, encourage, and inspire others in their own personal health journeys. He writes books, gives talks around the world, and speaks with some of the most influential and intelligent people making waves in nutrition, fitness, and health industries. It's been some of the most gratifying work of his entire life, and he's privileged to be able to do what he does for a living. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And remember, guys, that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.